Frankie, before we get into the sort of transfer rumour of the day and look forward to the Southampton game, I've got a confession. This week, man, I've missed European football. There's been some fantastic games involving English sides, unfortunately. That Man United game, even Arsenal was a really good game for different reasons. Villa against PSG. Ah, I miss European football. I want European football. I'm glad that we had it, and I'm glad I enjoyed it because I made sure to enjoy the moment whilst we're living in it. But, I hope we get it back soon. There's I don't know. There's something different about it. There's something special about it. Have you been envious at all?
Yeah, that Man United game last night was so good. It was just brilliant. But like you say, there's been so many big games. Gio, I've got a bit of an issue with it myself, and I watch these other matches, and look, we had a few moments. Lyon away, which was incredible, and Seville at home, and obviously the final. But I came out of that Frankfurt at home game not even feeling like I'd experienced a European semi-final. And I don't know why. I see these other games and I see how big they are. I see the atmosphere. It's just electric, mate. And I can only put it down to the fact that our stadium and club struggle to really understand how to get us up for a big game. I just see like Newcastle talking to the fans and, you know, building these massive nights, and Aston Villa and having these big nights. And I just think that, yeah, I can only put it down to why didn't it feel the same with us? Obviously the final did, but I'm talking about those other games in the Europa League. I can only put it down to the fact that they just don't know what we want from a pre-match experience, from how to get us up for that. We put a silly DJ in the corner of the stadium and think that's what we want. Who wants to listen to house music and put a silly DJ? It's a football match. Like, what is it all about? Yeah, Aston Villa ain't doing that nonsense. The silly light show, and then think that's how we get up for a European football match. I look at these things and just think, I miss it massively. I enjoyed the journey of it. It adds something to, I don't know, just a bit of excitement to
100%.
Premier League football that's lost that little bit of spice these days, you know. But I also am craving it back because it's just almost like you've got to have it nowadays. If you don't, it's just not the same.
I mean, to be in fairness, Villa played the Europa League music. Did you see the clip of all the players, the PSG players, and look, what on earth's going on here? And then I seen this picture of Marcus Rashford. I went round. Marcus Rashford was like game face mode on, and someone said, he's used to the Europa League music. That's why."
Yeah.
But I think the European football this week has been tremendous. I think the Frankfurt one's interesting. I know what you're saying. I do wonder, maybe because they scored so early in that game, you know, there was a bit of like, I remember having excitement, having hope, and then within, I can't remember, was it 3 minutes on the clock or something? Bang, 1-0 Frankfurt. And it was like,
I had a discussion with this, Gio, yesterday with my mate Steve, and he really shot me down when I said that. And he said, we got back in that game. It was 1-1. He said, there's no way that you can put it down to and it's different if they went 1-0 up early and then it ended 1-0.
Yeah.
But it didn't. We got back in that game. So there was no excuse for that stadium not to get rocking again.
Yeah, I can't, I'll be honest, I can't recall the atmosphere that much to say whether it was good or bad. The Sevilla one was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in. We did move seats. Me and Gonzo moved seats for that game, went over to the Bobby Moore lower because we could. We thought, well, let's just, because we got our season ticket seats, then season ticket holders were able to get additional tickets, so we got for the Bobby Moore lower, and we thought, right, we'll use those ones and go in the sort of standing section, and hopefully the atmosphere is better, because previous European nights in our normal section, it's a sitting section, it wasn't that lively, whereas the noise was coming from the Bobby Moore stands. I was like, let's get over there for that one. And it was something special. And just watching football tonight, well, this week, you know, I know Villa went out, but they beat PSG at home, right? Wow, fantastic. I'm very unlucky. They can come away proud of their team. then Man U, who are having a terrible season comparable to us and Spurs, I think us three clubs in particular probably look at around what's going on at our club going, what on earth is happening here? But the significant difference right now is that they can believe they can go on and win a trophy and turn this disastrous season into a good one. I would suggest more for Spurs. They go on and win the Europa League. I'd suggest that this is a really good season for them, despite their league form. We don't have that. We don't have that hope. We don't have that dream. It's gone. Or we're looking, well, we're literally way to talk about the Southampton game, who are already relegated from the Premier League. That's what we've got to look forward to between now and the rest of the season. And yeah, I've been a bit, say, jealous. I think before, pre our European adventure, I'd never experienced West Ham European football. I didn't go to the games against Palermo. I was still at school. So it was almost like, can't miss what you don't have, right? So because I never experienced it, it was like, oh, can't really miss it. I had it, weirdly. I actually had it with Aberdeen to some extent. I watched Aberdeen play Atletico Madrid, European nights at Pataudry, but I never had it with West Ham. And now we've had it. I can't miss it because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to get excited. You play your game you play Liverpool Sunday. You've got to beat Sunday night. You're like, I don't really care because we've got the European game on Thursday. That's bigger. That's better. I'm looking forward to that straight away. You're looking forward to the next game on Thursday night. And if you win, you go into the next league game on a Sunday. And part of you's thinking, if we lose, not that big a deal because we're still playing European football. We've still got this dream to achieve. So, yeah, I'm hoping we can one day, Frankie, get it back.
We had 3 years as well. We never got that big name, did we? And that was a bit of a shame as well. Like, obviously Frankfurt, we could have had Barcelona, and then Frankfurt end up knocking them out, and you get Frankfurt. I just longed for that, just that trip to one of them massive stadiums, one of them mega names as well. And I know Seville were a decent, but even that stadium, like I remember, concrete blooming stand right up and the steep, and it wasn't. Seville away was a fantastic trip away, and I stayed in Spain for a whole week, and I made the most of it, and it was brilliant. And I'm not totally writing it off that it wasn't, but it still wasn't that wow stadium. It wasn't that big name. It wasn't going to Barcelona. It weren't going to the Bernabeu. Even one of the Italian teams going to the San Siro or something like that. I longed for that. I felt like that was the one little thing that was missing from that journey, was that big name, that something to, go to one of those really iconic stadiums. And so I missed that as well. So I hope that we can get back in it and maybe get one of those big clubs as well.
Well, over the summer, we'll discuss it if it's a possibility next season. I'm not going to take your answer just yet. The transfer rumour is doing the rounds in the last 24 hours, Frankie, linking us to Bayern Munich central midfielder Palhinha, who obviously used to be at Fulham and then went to Bayern Munich for 42 million, not getting game time under Vincent Kompany. A lot of talk that he could be a way to leave, and he's being linked to ourselves and Everton. He's been linked to Everton, which I think is believable because we were strongly linked to him when he was at Fulham, and David Moyes is our manager, and you could see him working in a system under David Moyes as well. Is he someone you'd fancy at West Ham or not for you?
Yeah, I remember being linked with him before. I mean, he's certainly more mobile, and he can certainly play football better than what we've got currently. So on that basis, I don't mind it. I always thought he was a really decent, really good player. He seemed to be a lot of the reason why Fulham had a really good run, and I feel like he was quite core to that. So I'm quite happy with the link. I don't think I'd want to pay the 42 million that they'd paid.
Well, that's the concern. The rumour is Bayern Munich are looking to get most of their money back, and for those unaware, he turns 30 very soon. Before the end of the season, he turns 30 years old, so he's no spring chicken.
No, it sounds too much at that age, and for what he is. And again, going away, confidence down, you've got to rebuild that. Am I confident that West Ham somewhere he could do that? I don't know. And like we said, you know, a lot of times, sometimes things are just the right fit at the right time. Things just click. Did he get that at Fulham? He's gone to Bayern, it hasn't. So at that sort of money, yeah, I would probably think that, you know, there's better out there for that sort of money, to be perfectly honest, who are a better age.
There should be better out there for that price, and that's where you look at McCauley and say, well, come on, then come up with it, because he's like the obvious one, isn't it? No, everyone's heard of him. It doesn't take a wizard of a scout to go and pluck Palhinha out of Bayern Munich. If it was a loan move, I think I'd say, yeah, get him in, because that's ticks a box very quickly, and financially there's not much commitment there. But I wouldn't want to see us pay out for him, because I imagine transfer fee would be reasonably bulky, and his wages would also be quite chunky. And when you look at the profile of our midfielders, Soucek 29, Ward-Prowse 29, you add in a 30-year-old to that collection as well, and suddenly it's thinking, bloody hell, we need to move some of these older players on and get some younger players into the team. So I think he's a fantastic player. When he was at Fulham, he was one of the best in his position in the league. I thought he was by far Fulham's best player whilst he was there, and he deserved his move to Bayern Munich. Turns out it was the wrong move, bearing in mind he's barely got any minutes and they'll win the Bundesliga this season. But I remember Jack Grealish saying when he first won the title at Man City, he didn't really feel like he'd won the title because he wasn't involved enough. He felt like a bit part player. So I could see him come back to the Premier League. I think the Premier League suits him. I don't think he relies on pace. So perhaps the fact that he is getting older as such may not be too much of an issue for him. You do see players of that ilk in their mid-30s smashing it. Idrissa Gueye at Everton's a good example this season. I think he's having a great season despite being mid-30. But it's just one of those. I think if you had a young squad, if you were like maybe like, I don't know, Chelsea, I guess. Chelsea have got a really young squad in comparison to the rest of the Premier League, and you decide to go get an older experienced player and put him in there. I think that's okay, but not when you've already got one of the oldest squads in the Premier League. Going and signing someone above the average age of your squad, it's probably not the wisest idea. So it's I'm not sure I believe the rumour anyway. I think the one to Everton feels more believable, but it's I'll pass on this one unless it was financially irresistible for us. Top player, just unfortunately a top fee involved as well. Anything you'd like to discuss regarding Palhinha before we move on and take a look at the Southampton game?
No, just I think you're spot on the money. If it's 25 million or below, then it's a no-brainer. I just think it's, you know, then you it just makes total sense. But 42 million sounds a lot of money for that age.
Yeah. Right, Saints game. Do you see this as an important game for Graham Potter?
I think it's really important. Like I said, and I messaged you and asked the question because it was just in my mind. If he's on a 6-month contract, is this a lose and you're sacked game? And I think it would be. It certainly would be a lose and you don't get renewed at the end of the season. So I think the only reason that this doesn't have that sort of tag attached to it is purely down to the fact that he managed to negotiate a longer term contract. That's it. If he's on that 6-month contract that the club really wanted at the beginning, this is the game. This is it. It's either you show us what you're made of here, or you're gone. So yeah, I think that's the circumstances. And not only that, I think this, while it might not have that tag on it, I certainly think this plays a part in setting the tone for next season.
Yeah,
I certainly think this is your time to show the fans that regardless of you not having your own players, regardless of you not having the team that you've built, with what you've got, you should still be able to come out and play football against this lot. That's it. And if you can't do that, then I have major, major doubts going into next season. I'd be really nervous about giving him money to spend, because I'd be thinking, well, yeah, I know you need to build your own team, but if you spend all that money and then come, 10 games in, you're not doing it, then, we're going to be in a really awkward position.
even if it's not 10 games in, there's a break clause this time next year, isn't there? At the end of next season, there's a break clause for both parties. So, like you said, if you spent all the money, we have a less than impressive season. It might be that at the end of next season we say thanks, Graham, but we're gonna part here, and we could be looking at a manager that's gone and spent tens of millions of pounds, and he's had literally one season with his group of players, and even then, it still wouldn't be his team, would it? Because he's not going to bring in 15 players this summer, is he? So he's going to bring in however many players. So it will be partly his team, but there's still going to be David Moyes players here. Trying to think, there might even be, I'm trying to think if there would be any Slaven Bilic players here. There might even be, if for whatever reason we gave Creswell a new deal, it'd be a Sam Allardyce player here next season, and he left in summer 2015. So yes, if he spends money, he will have some of his players, but it still won't be his squad. So how long, do you know what I mean? How long are you going to get before you turn it into your one? And that's why when it says a 2.5-year deal, I thought, well, even if he was to see that out, it's still not his squad when he leaves, I don't think. It might be, but I struggle to see it being completely his team. And I agree with what you're saying. If you can't do it against this lot, then you're in trouble, because I expect good managers and good head coaches to be able to work with any group of players and do something with them. Either play the good football, but the results aren't there, or get the results, but it's not that entertaining. At the minute, it feels like we're doing neither for most of the games. And so, well, what you're saying is I need to work with this specific type of profile of player for this specific position, else I can't do my job. Well, I expect a bit more from a Premier League manager. I expect him to be able to adapt. And I appreciate going away to Liverpool and saying, I've not quite got the players I'd acquired to do this. Fair enough, fine. You can't beat the best team in the league with the group of players you've got, okay. But that doesn't wash with the team that's 20th in the Premier League. It's got 10 points after 33 games. I ain't having that. You can't beat that lot with the squad of players we've got here. Because just 2 years ago, lots of these players were playing European football. So they were good enough for David Moyes to get European football, and they were good enough for Lopetegui to be in the mid-table of the Premier League. So what you're saying is they're not good enough for you. Well, actually, they've proven they are good enough under two different managers. The problem here ain't the group of players.
No, and okay, that there might be one or two players needed to perfect his system.
Yeah,
I can accept that, and I really can. But who are you going to upgrade as a front line? Who are you going to find who's better that you're going to attract to West Ham that's better than Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen? Who are you going to go and get? You're not going to get any better than that. So if you can't do it with those players, then you've got a big problem. So again, I know all these excuses are coming out for him and everyone's saying, you've got to be positive, you've got to give him a chance. I get all that. But we're really struggling to create chances, to create opportunities, to score goals, to be entertaining. Yeah, I don't see what you can add to that front line. I just think it's a fantastic front three, and you should be getting a tune out of them. Look, okay, central midfield is a problem. And if we have more creativity in the central midfield and we have more, athleticism in the central midfield and we can get up the pitch quicker and we've got people who can pass the ball faster, yeah, okay, maybe that helps us get the ball more quickly to those forward players who then in turn have more 1v1 duels, and then that turns into more opportunities and more goals for West Ham. I can accept, again, all of that. But I just, again, think you should be showing something. And it's a long time coming at the moment. He's been here for a while now. And, I just feel like you say, you can't be that one-dimensional. Like, you can't just say, this is how I have to play, or otherwise I can't win football matches. You have to have something about you, not only because that's how you want to play, but it depends what team you're coming up against. You should be looking at another team and saying, what's their strengths and weaknesses? This is how we're going to go about ourselves to try and win this football match. You don't set up the same every single game. I mean, we've been here before and never adapted to what's in front of us and just played the same way, whether it be home or away versus Liverpool or Southampton at home. We've been here before with previous managers, and it is frustrating. But it does make me nervous. It does make me nervous to give him money to spend, and we shouldn't be in that position. But also, that's why I don't really get this Macaulay appointment, because we shouldn't be having this argument again. And other clubs have got round this by saying, this is what we want to be. This is how we want West Ham to play. He goes and signs them players, and whether or not Potter's there in 10 games or even at the end of the season, it don't matter. And that's the difference between him at Brighton and him at West Ham. At Brighton, it didn't matter who left and who went in. They carried on where they left off. No problem.
Well, they improved, didn't they? Deserby came in, they got better.
Exactly that, because they had their identity, they had the players, how they wanted to play, they had the blueprint, and they went and hired a manager who suited those players. When we're playing this, David Sullivan wants to be football manager, sign Macaulay. Macaulay just seems redundant to me at the moment. If Sullivan is going to take the approach that he said he's going to take, what is Macaulay even doing at the club? What, to sit down in front of Sullivan and go, here's a few people? It almost feels like he's just been given a job to pacify the fans, to say that, well, I am listening to him and he is bringing players, but really what Sullivan's going to do is going to go and sign his mates, his agent friends, players, and that's it. And Macaulay's just there as he might sign one of the ones that he pulls out the bag, just so then the fans don't go on the turn. So it is just a bit messy for me. And I wish we weren't in this position, because we've had a write-off season pretty much from early on. And the experience at West Ham isn't the most fun anyway. And a lot of people have turned away, which is becoming more and more clear as the weeks go on, that season tickets have really plummeted. To offer fans 2 extra season tickets, to hear the noises that are coming out the club, to hear Potter even commenting that he needs the season ticket holders is mental, because you've never needed West Ham fans to buy tickets before. I remember going in the 90s and having to queue up outside that stadium as a youngster to desperately try and get tickets. And every time you walked up to that stadium, the sign above the front entrance, this was before the new stand was built on the west side, saying sold out, next game sold out, sold out, sold out. We've always been sold out. I know we've got a big elephant of a stadium now, which has changed that a little bit, but you've never relied on West Ham to be there every week and supporting the team. And the fact that we are in that position now, that season tickets are turning away, well, you better start showing us something quickly and getting us excited for next season, because it's just a place I've never known for West Ham. It's a real different time, and it's not a good place to be. So, yeah, I mean, Potter needs to show us something today, big time, what he's got in his locker and how he can entertain us and how he can win football matches. And then the club have got to give us some, just some excitement and go and make a real statement, I think. And the problem is, that's where we are. If you're going to make a big statement, a big marquee signing, I think, is what it's going to take to really excite the fans for next season. Personally, I'm writing off everything else now, other than West Ham's got to go and sign a real big striker to get these season ticket holders back on side and get us renewing and get us excited again for next season. That's going to be, a 50 million plus man. That's what I feel we need now. And if we're going to go and do that, who's going to pick that man? I don't know.
A very interesting question. In regards to Potter and, needing a performance, needing a win against Southampton, is there anything in particular you're hoping to see him do in terms of lineup and player personnel?
It's not even really a personnel thing. I've gone past worrying about that. That's his job. We sort of had that thing where it was, we need the youngsters. I want Scholes. I think Scholes, again, it's a great game for him to try and show that he is Premier League standard and Premier League level. But other than that, and wanting to see him out there, I just want to see 4 at the back. I want to see more men further forward. Is what I want to see. And, a bit of ambition. That's it.
Lukaku hat-trick.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? But he's got 45 minutes to do it, apparently. So
needs to stop hitting the crossbar.
He likes the crossbar, doesn't he? Actually, he does.
Very identical headers and ridiculous headers as well. But I need 7 goals from him. I need a hat trick this weekend, please, Nicholas. If you could just bang in 3, that would be nice. And you've got, like you said, you've got 45 minutes to do it. So thank you. In regards to Scarles, you said Scarles, this game show him that he's a Premier League player. I would actually add that maybe show that he finds it easy against a championship opposition, because essentially that's what we're away to play on Saturday. We're away to play a club that's now in the going to be playing championship football next season. But a lot of those players, some of them will get moves to the Premier League, but a lot of them will still be at Southampton next season. He may have a very tough direct opponent in Dibbling if they play Dibbling on the right and they go to a back four and get away from this wing back system that they've been playing all season. Then that would be an interesting battle for him. But yeah, this is a good game to see Scarles, and hopefully he comes through it with a strong performance, because I think he's had a couple of iffy ones even before that Liverpool one. He's been okay at best, so hopefully he can have a strong game. All said and done then, Frankie, what's your score prediction? You confident?
I am confident. I think you have to be, regardless of where you are against, like we said, this team, you have to be nothing but confident. So, look, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him the back in. I'm going to say that he is going to show us what he's made of.
Yeah, me too.
He's going to play on that front foot. He's going to show us that we can attack with those front three. I think Kudus is going to score. It's due. It's so due. So he's going to score. And Bowen's going to get a couple on as well. So I think it's going to be 3-0.
Where's the Fulkrug goals here?
I'm going 3-0 and no Fulkrug goal.
I'm not having this. I am actually quite optimistic too. Like I said in the preview, I enjoyed the second half against Liverpool. I enjoyed most of the second half against Bournemouth. And I need to see it across two halves of football rather than just one. But if he can do that on Saturday, I think we'll win comfortably. But also, I think I will enjoy the entire game of football. Like, I don't expect us to be good and entertaining for 90 minutes. That doesn't happen. But if you can do it for 60, 70 minutes, that's really good. And I'll be really pleased with that. And I'm praying that we get it, because we need something we can just... at the very start of this video, we spoke about European football giving you hope, even if your league is dismal. Now, we're not going to have European football possibly for a while, but we need hope going into next season. And if you can put on a good show against Southampton and get a good win, you've got something there. Even if it's just one game, you can go, right, there you go. Let's do that next week, please. Because there's one or two fixtures coming up after this that you fancy, man. I'll be honest, I fancy going away to Man U and winning at Old Trafford. Even just everything going on at the minute, I think we will win that game, especially if they continue with their success in Europa League and whatever, because I'm really after the game. So I'm going to play the kids in the Premier League and see how they get on and focus on it. Rightly so, but there's some winnable fixtures. We've got to play Brighton up against his old team. Right, go on then, go show us what you can do. So there's some games, I think, in terms of fixtures, that there's enough room for Potter to impress. And instead of saying we need your support and we've got your support and renew your season ticket, wink wink, actually, instead of doing the talking with that, do the talking on the pitch, win 2-3-0 with good football, and let people go, oh yeah, I fancy a bit of that next season. If the product on the pitch was good, you wouldn't have to tell people or blackmail fans to renew the season tickets, because they want to do it. But, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I've got hope back. We'll wait and see. But anyway,
it's a big one, mate. Like I said, I was speaking to a few people this week, and a lot of them have said next season's a big season for them, as to whether they're going to renew, but this is like a renew last chance. It's almost like this season's been an awful value for money on return on your season ticket, and next season is going to be a big season as to whether they actually, renew again. So a lot of people have turned their back, but next season's going to be like a real breaking point for a lot of people as to whether they renew or not. But ending on a positive note, Geo, under 21s versus PSG away. Football wise, what a fantastic game of football. Fast, so fast. Like literally just took me back how quick they played football. Just how fast they moved the ball, how quickly they attacked. Both teams actually really happy to just go for it. Orford looked fantastic. Sawyer looked brilliant. I had I enjoyed that football match more than the entire season we've had with West Ham so far. It was superb. So if anyone isn't going to the game today and has a bit of time this morning and wants to put themselves in a positive frame of mind for West Ham this afternoon, go and have a watch of that, because the future is bright, Geo. I've always been a bit reluctant to maybe say that there are players in the youth that are going to make it at the top level. And while we went through that sort of FA Youth Cup winning side, I didn't think many were ready. Well, I think there's a few getting quite close now. I'm really starting to feel like there are some players who are at the level and can make a big impact in the Premier League. So definitely worth a watch on YouTube.
Love that. Well, Frankie, I'll catch up with you next week, hopefully discussing 3 points, 3 goals, and a hat trick for Fulkrug, and you getting a little bit worried that I might win my bet. But you guys are home. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Don't be shy. Get involved in the comments. But if you've enjoyed this video, before you disappear, may you please drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up, subscribing to Hammers Chat. Myself and Frankie, well, we'll catch you next week.